It's a close call on Dan Really Likes Wine this week to work out who has got the biggest smile. If you're listening to this on your way to work or in the gym, a space with which I'm largely unfamiliar, you might not be able to see it, but I'm sure you'll be able to hear it because you have two very happy guests. We bumped into each other yesterday in Cape Town and had a lingering hug, which I think raised an eyebrow from his wife. Why? Because we're not just good mates, but we share a love of South African wine, and he has become the high priest of South African wine in large stretches of America. It gives me great pleasure to welcome back to Dan Really Likes Wine, Andy Woolgar.
Thank you, Dan. That's an intro.
Well, it's thoroughly deserved because I love spending time with you. I love whenever I see your name in my inbox. I know I've got to set 45 minutes aside because you will have sent me this wonderfully flowing update on wine in America. But your passion for wine as a whole and passion for South African wine is just about unmatched from anyone I have met in America. And I absolutely love that. And I know we've discussed it many times, but for people who don't have the Andy Woolgar poster up on their bedroom wall, take us back to a time before wine when there were things like motorsport that occupied your time, and how you fell into this world with which you are now so in love.
Yeah, that's okay. It's going back a bit, but yes. So my life prior to wine is a separate. It's almost like another dimension, I guess. For years and years, I was involved in motorsport. I was racing cars and then behind the scenes in management at the highest level of open wheel racing, and so Formula One, Le Mans series, and American Le Mans, and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of wine drunk in those circles, actually, and some wonderful hospitality. And I think at that time I was fully invested in what I was doing, and but I needed a change, and I needed some kind of outlet. I think it's a hard life traveling all around the world. It's great fun, don't get me wrong. And I met my wife when I was still involved in racing, actually in NASCAR racing in North Carolina. And I still haven't developed the North Carolina accent. I think she's quite happy about that, let's say.
There's almost a South African accent coming through, which I'm very happy to hear. It's all that Pinotage you've been drinking in Carolina.
I think it is, yeah. It's just all this juice or something. I don't know. So that's sort of the early days. And let's say, I think Corey, my wife, was quite happy that I transitioned from NASCAR to wine.
So from the gentle Zen-like world of NASCAR to the wild adrenaline of the wine world.
Absolutely.
Why wine, of all things?
I don't know. I saw it as a challenge. I saw it as a big subject, and I like that kind of thing. Anything that has a deep learning for me, and this is always evolving, you know. So I think that's what kind of got me into it. Then I met a few people involved with wine and introducing me into the wine world, which was South African wine, one of which was a great friend of mine, whose wine we happen to have on the table here, which we can sure talk about. That's what got me hooked, I suppose, and here we are today, so back here again.
What fascinates me about your journey is that many people discover wine, they quite like it, they enjoy it, they start collecting it, but you went well beyond that. Your sort of fringe obsession, which I think we share, and there must have been more than just you met Wynand Grobler, who makes the wine we're going to try in a moment, but there must have been something else to South African wine, the South African wine story that reached out and grabbed you and hooked you and brought you in.
Yeah, I think coming here the first time and just really falling in love with the place, the scenery, the Fynbos, the Cape Town, I mean, Table Mountain, you cannot not like this area. And the wine, I think, is world-class. There's no question about that. And so for me, it was a steep learning curve to get my head around all these different wines and different styles and tastes and everything that goes with it. And I think it kind of, this is what I'm going to do now. You know, this is it for me. And luckily enough, you know, with someone like Wynand as a bit of a guide for me, I wouldn't say that these days, of course. You know, he's gone off track now, kidding. But no, I mean, he's been absolutely very much a mentor and someone, you know, driving things behind the scenes for me, introducing me to people, word of mouth, helping me align my brand and my business with some really great people in the industry here. And I'm very fortunate to be where we are now, working with so many people. Right?
And you work with a selection of South African producers. Tell me about some of those and how those have fallen into your wine world.
Yeah, so I won't put it all on Vinan because I do have a mind of my own. He'd like to take the credit for it, but no, I think I love the start for me. Obviously was we worked together at Rickety Bridge, and he departed, I departed. He started Decline of Wine, or him and Anya kind of took over the running of that, and I. After or during COVID, actually, with my business partner Clint, we started up Elephant's Corner a few years ago now. I remember doing the show with you back then, and I think I want to say his influence with the styles of wine that he makes really kind of got me on the road, and a few intros to people of all different levels, farms of different levels. So Mont Rochelle, Chamonix, Camberley, who I don't work with anymore. Unfortunately, Johnny decided, not to export anymore. Clarington, Normandy, some great farms and some wonderful people behind them, is what really kind of got me going, I think. And I realized that there's so many different levels of production and quality and style that were out there for the taking, so to speak, and such a passion from everyone. And a lot of people wanted to have their wines in the US, but I had to become a little bit more selective, I suppose, and which I still am. And I think that's what sort of got me on the road, really, is the whole, with Vinan, very much a small production family kind of approach, really cool labels, great wine, juice fantastic, being able to, farm grapes from different regions. You're not tied down to a certain region, let's say. All that kind of stuff really just appealed to me. And I'm really proud to bring these guys to the US and to represent what they do over there.
Which is very cool for us in South Africa, seeing our wine going out to an American market, which has one or two challenges at the moment. We'll come to that in a second. But that selection process and getting into that market, I spent about a month in America this time last year, and you walk into a restaurant, you walk into a wine bar, you walk into a cafe, and you shriek with delight on that rare occasion you find a South African wine. You then Google it because you've never seen the name before and discover it's something produced by somebody else. But you do find the occasional South African wine. But it is such a crowded market, not just because you've got the history of Italy and France and Spain, or the proximity of a Chile or an Argentina, but at last check, every single state in America is making its own wine, led, and I had to double check this, by Texas, which sounds completely counterintuitive, but is apparently correct. And we know Americans, like South Africans, are very proud and patriotic people. We will buy and support the wine from our country. So as much as I love to see our wine going over, I wonder just how hard it is to be able to make an impact with South African wine on a market that's got so much international competition, and then the domestic product as well.
Yeah, good question. I mean, it's still an evolution. I remember sitting here 3 years ago with you, the last convention, and then really, I don't think a lot has changed in the approach, how to sell the product to the American consumer. It's all a hand sell. It's very much telling that story. And I think I've got it somewhat down pat now. There's always something else that I've forgotten, or something else is new, which is great. But it's very much a hand sell, and being proud of the quality that we're offering to them. And I think it's something different. American consumers love a story, and they love the history, and they come here in their droves to Cape Town, for example, and I think I guess that's why there's probably 7 or 8 flights a week into Cape Town from the US. It's a discovery for people, and the wine is very much a part of that. You can't miss it when you arrive in this part of the world.
I remember arriving in New Jersey a few years ago to host a conference, and the security guy who had been appointed for me, not as I thought because I was really cool and a bit of a celebrity, but more than you, was from South Africa, and I just wanted to make sure that nothing went missing, escorted me and asked me where I was from. And I said Johannesburg, and he paused and said that he'd never been to Australia but did hope to get there one day. And that does speak to a bit of a cliched term, but I bring it up because there is so much education that you have to do beyond just where is South Africa. I'm sure most people do know, but what South African wine is about, what that culture is about. When you are introducing a pinotage, when you're telling the story of Chenin Blanc, what level of familiarity is there with the wine drinker in the street with what South Africa offers?
I think it varies. I think it's a 50-50 thing. You run into people that do have that little bit of knowledge, that do know about Chenin Blanc, or they know about pinotage, but they don't necessarily know the makeup of a pinotage, let's say. They very often confuse it with Meritage, which is their American red blend, which is obviously nothing like a pinotage. Yeah, hopefully. But that's again, it's a nice opportunity for me to be able to impart the story, and they listen with intent, and they taste the wine, and they're like, "Oh, it's actually pretty good." You go from, in some cases, people that don't even realize that we make wine in South Africa, to those that do, and then they discover, that I carry 20 plus different Chenin Blancs in the portfolio, and they the first thing they've said to me prior to that is, "Oh, we can't find Chenin Blanc anywhere. We don't see pinotage anywhere." Well, that's down to the buyers. That's down to I think market perception in the US, and that's the toughest thing to get past is opening people's minds to the fact that wine is produced outside of the US and there's different varietals available. And that's where we come in. We come in with our Grenache Blanc, for example, and Tinto Baroccas and Vermentinos and all sorts of other things like that are being produced here for years and years. And I think the discovery becomes real for people. And then the next thing they want to do is taste and buy the wine. So, it's still very much wearing your shoes out, walking around, and go visiting lots of different places, getting your wines in the market. And in the case of where we are in North Carolina, then Charlotte and Raleigh and Durham, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, those towns, Asheville, of course, and then the coast, and all those markets are learning and very open-minded to accepting what we have and accepting something different. So all you have to do is get out there and sell it, and we can be as good as, not better than anyone else.
Again, if I think back to my time in America last year, finding South African wine was a challenge, but finding wine in general wasn't. There were wine bars, restaurants everywhere, and plenty of wine going from New York to Miami to San Francisco to San Diego, wherever I went. I was seeing plenty of wine, but then I'm out looking for it. What are you seeing as an American trend? Are people drinking more wine, less wine? What's the approach to philosophy on wine for most Americans?
Yeah, I think really the last couple of years, it's been an up and down situation, and I don't think that's just America. I think the younger generation are turning their minds to other things than alcohol, and therefore you have to be more creative about your approach and your target market. And I'm not saying that it applies to every single younger person by any means, but from what I see is a slowdown in the younger generation, but buying wine and tasting wine, and I guess it's probably the same here, right? Maybe I think also in Europe.
Yeah, it's an interesting one there. You get a lot of feedback that, young people aren't drinking wine anymore. I'm not sure that's entirely true just from anecdotal evidence. But I think people are being a lot more particular on what they drink and why they drink it, and not just what is in the glass, but where has that wine come from? How has it been made? And I think the story behind it is big. Yeah, I presume that there are elements of the American audience as well. Is this biodynamically or organically made? What's your bottle weight? Have any baby penguins died in the production of this wine?
Very much so. Maybe not that. But no, very much. Yeah, the question is, if they are going to taste the wine, that's the next thing. How is it made? Is it biodynamic, like you say, natural wine, and so on? Yeah. So we try and cover all those bases. And I think for the most of what we carry anyway, it's produced naturally, it's produced sustainably. Obviously, South Africa being world leaders in sustainable wine production for many years before others jumped on the bandwagon and came here to figure out how it was done. So we can take pride in all those things. And I'm not wanting to paint a picture that no younger people are drinking wine, because that's definitely not the case. I think it's more selectiveness perhaps, and more understanding of how something is made, just like you said, and that's what we're focusing on with our my sales team, so to speak. Yeah.
You're also a great champion of South African culture, because I know sometimes through gritted teeth you have to use the term barbecue on your social media posts. But I've seen Bry often enough to realise that you're doing a stalwart job in supporting our South African way of life, and doing so with some wine. And we have some here. We've alluded to it already. This is appropriate for a number of reasons. One, it is from Wynand, and it's wine that you take over to America. But it is also the postman, and that's got a rather personal connotation.
It does, yeah. So back in the day, and this all comes from him, by the way, not me, yeah. Which is very very cool, I suppose. So back in the day, we formed a friendship, and when I was in delivering wine in North Carolina, we were getting the business up and running, and we would speak very often on a daily basis. I guess at that time I was more important to him than I am now. So I hope he's listening. Yeah.
I think he called you Anthony earlier today.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. He's getting older now, so he forgets things. So I was always delivering wine, and he started calling me Du Posman, and I was like, okay, how long is this going to go on? And then out of the blue, he produced this wine label. This is one of several versions, actually, that he finally settled on this one that he believes a U.S. post mail carrier or U.S. postman to look like. And I'm not sure they quite look like that, but it's a really nice. For me, it's a very personal and a very proud part of our portfolio. There's the white wine that we're looking at here, and there's also a red that he makes, which is a bit more sinister postman label, which is a lovely Carignan that he produces too. So that's how that came about. The label, we turn it around maybe down and see the back of it there. You'll see a little story which kind of connects the two of us as friends, and a little North Carolina flag there and mailbox, which I think is very very nice attention to detail, let's say,
I have to be honest, I did not realise that the US Postal Service used colonial pith helmets as part of their standard attire, but you wear it well there.
I do.
Well, you have the glass. Let's have a quick taste of this, because it's 7:10 in the morning,
Absolutely.
which is a good time.
Good time to start, yeah.
It'll be the end of your drinking evening back in Carolina.
Pretty much, yeah.
And for the people who are just listening to this and don't have a glass of Grenache Blanc in hand, which if you're driving, we hope you don't, why does this stand out? Why is this a wine that you can take back to America and hand on heart say to somebody, you've got to try this?
Yeah, I think this is a fantastic example, one of the best I have. This is, you can taste the freshness of the wine. It's bright, great acidity. The story behind the vineyard is very cool. It's Riebecksberg, it's Klüfenberg block that Wynand shares with Donovan Rowell. So we also carry Donovan's version from his portfolio, and
South African winemaker of the year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Donovan would want you to know.
He would indeed. So yeah, I think the wine tells a story. Again, the grape itself tells a story. It's historic. It's something we've had for a long time, and obviously there's more plantings of this varietal currently as the climates change. And Wynand makes a beautiful slight skin contact version that we're tasting right now, and I think it's a super advocate for South African wine, especially with such a cool label too. Don't you think?
It is the full package. It's a label with a great story and a very youthful, slightly Salvador Dali-ish example of Andy Woolgar on the label. And what's inside is a delight. So that allows you to very proudly take South African wine over to America as part of a broader story. And I think it's a good opportunity. We've got somebody with us who is taking South African wine to consumers, meeting with them, trying to get this wine into America. America. What, from your perspective, are South African wine producers doing right when it comes to the American market? What are they doing wrong? And I place this in the context that at the moment, and Nick, my producer, will edit this by the time this comes out, we currently have 0, 10, 15, 20, 40, 600% tariffs on South African wine, depending on which side of the bed the Supreme Leader has woken up on. All of these challenges in that broader context, what's going right, what's going wrong for us?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, positivity. What's going right is the innovation, is the willingness to stick your neck out and make something that you put your heart into, and in the glass, and that's where all these flavors and tastes and fantastic quality comes from. The tough part is what we're dealt with, as you mentioned. It's a big subject, the tariff situation. We, as I'm sure you're aware, we had the African Growth and Opportunities Act, which helped African business and to import into the US without a tariff. And then we were dealt the 10% blow in April. About to crash my car when I was driving. Actually, when that came on the TV and radio, and you kind of make a plan, so to speak, yeah, and get past that, and then we're dealt with a 30%, which is a quite a low blow for the industry, not just wine, but I'm very aware of citrus and other industries suffering here. But we still we make a way, make it happen, Dan. I wouldn't be sitting here now if I didn't have the belief that we could continue as a business and continue to bring these amazing wines to the country. The demand is big. The demand is big from the American consumer for products not from the US, regardless of what somebody in the White House might believe. Let's say people want choice, and they will still go out of their way to get it. So I'm here to continue my quest to expand our business and to find more producers to give them the opportunity to bring have their products in our part of the world. And I'm still proud to say that I've probably been contacted by 30 or 40 producers prior to today that are all exhibiting here and wanting me to come and taste their wines and figure out if we can make it work, And so, I'm very proud to be able to continue that, but it is not easy. I will say that. It's getting tougher, but we'll keep going.
I don't need to ask if you're still positive and upbeat about South African wine, because I know you well enough to know that that's who you are about anything you do, but especially this. But as you look over the next kind of 2-3 years, what really excites you about the potential to take South African wine into this crowded market with its crazy scale of tariffs that are there one day and not the next, and still say, you know what, I believe in South African wine, and I believe that its journey in America has still got a long road to travel?
Yeah, so I think, again, it's down to evolution. It's down to this crowd out here behind us, the people that are doing such good things with what they have to work with, which obviously is a wonderful kind of palette, let's say, and I think that's what drives me. That's what makes me come back. That's what makes me continue to, not only, watch your show, let's say, to keep up with things, but also just to accept people's invitations to taste, accept their invitation to consider their product. And I think over the next few years, it's going to just keep going in the right direction. I don't think just because of the US doing what it's doing right now, it's going to change the way things are made here or evolution here or anything like that. I still, strongly believe that we have a fantastic opportunity in America to continue to bring the wines in. I think, things change all the time. People's habits, whether it's a younger audience buying wine or not buying wine, it changes. Sitting here 3 years ago, it was all about orange wines. It was about natural stuff. And, and that's still part of, the evolution of things, and we carry a few of those, like with Jasper Wickens, for example, is Oranje Blanje, that sort of thing, which is fantastic in our portfolio, and people still gravitate to that style of wine. And and that's just going to keep on evolving, I believe. So I think, very very focused and positive in that sense, that we'll be able to sit here again, maybe in 3 years if you have me back, and see where the land lies then, and hopefully we'll be going from strength to strength.
You'll definitely be back with us in 3 years' time if your diary allows. But we might even catch up before then, because I believe we might be seeing you back in South Africa before that 3-year window is done.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think a year or 3 years is too long away. I can't stay away from this. Is home for me here, and my plan is to head back for harvest mid to late February. And hopefully bring a few more people over as well to experience the delights of what we have to offer. And that's what, 4 or 5 months down the road, and that's the next step. Come back here and enjoy the end of summer and pick some grapes.
I think you'll make a splendid harvest. And I love the fact that our wine is now doing so well that we can bring in our casual labor from America. This is a sign of the success of South African wine.
Absolutely.
There's also great success in the Afrikaans. You reeled off a number of names there effortlessly. So you've clearly been working on that as well. And that again speaks to the overriding factor, which puts you so high in my books in the wine world, which is your deep, deep love of South African wine. You're very much an evangelist for who we are and what we do, and we're grateful for that beyond measure. Keep it up, keep going. There will still be a few headwinds, I suspect,
Sure.
But if anyone's equipped to deal with them, it will be yourself. Keep taking South African wine to America, keep cheering it on, keep giving it to more people, and keep doing such a wonderful job of flying our flag for us.
Well, thank you, Dan. That really is very, very kind of you to say that, and it's great to be back here and to be part of the show again, and to keep on bringing this great wine over to our part of the world. I appreciate it.
There we go. A great guest to have on Dan Really Likes Wine this week. And if you happen to be in the Winston-Salem area or in the Carolinas or surrounds, look out for some South African wine, some Penitar, some Shannon. If you're listening, one of our American listeners, and you're in that stretch of the States, then look out for the postman and the wine he delivers on such a regular basis. South African wine faced some challenges of late in the United States, but with people like Andy Woolgar, we know that we'll come through the other side and be smiling when we do.